So my name is Christine Brown. I am from Newark, New Jersey. um, my parents are both from the Caribbean. Um, so I'm like first generation American, Black American. So I'm the oldest of five kids, one adopted little brother. My youngest is adopted. He's now 20, 21. And a bunch of other brothers. Look at that. I don't know. It's a bunch of them. So it's a one that's 38, another one that's 35 or 36, and one just turned 31. So yeah, I'm the oldest, the only girl as well. So I'm the only girl, the oldest. Um, and actually, so I'm the oldest from my mom. She's the one who has the children. My mother's name is Bernadette, so you may hear me reference her a lot. Um, she got a lot of kids. So there's always burn kids in the way. Um, and for my dad, he has two children with my mom, and I'm the oldest for him as well. So both of my parents, again, are from the Caribbean. My dad is from Jamaica, as you can see on his sweater. Very proud. Been here since 79 or 78. My mom, she came a little bit younger. She's from Trinidad. Um, both of them, well, I'm not going to say both of them. So I don't, they met through a mutual friend of my dad's and mom, who was also a relative of my mom's. And I like to believe on one magical night in 1980, I was conceived. That's what I would like to believe, but my father, perhaps I can't tell you what Bernadette said, but that's what I would like to believe. And they didn't stay together long. I don't remember ever seeing my parents together. Um, but um, my dad and his family, they tried to remain, um, I guess, as consistent um, figures in my life growing up. So my mother, she came here much younger. She came here, she was one of the people who were, so in the Caribbean at that time, and probably a lot of other countries, they, when the families are poor, they would give their children away. Like in the 60s and 70s, and probably a little bit earlier than that, there were, white people would go to the Caribbean, almost I guess like how they did, Haiti after the earthquake and stuff, or before, and they would get the children and raise the children. But that wasn't totally the case. My mother, was given away to like a family friend, and so she came here a little bit older, a younger, um, lived in Brooklyn, but the family friend or the family member, or the family friend who brought her here, he was very physically abusive to her. He was extremely physically abusive to her, and so with her getting with my dad, that was, and she just graduated high school. She just left the house and went with my dad, to New Jersey. She was living in Brooklyn. Um, but my mom, she's real. Both of them are. Both of them are very talented. My dad is real people person, good with money, good. Both of them are great nurturers. But my mom is like both of them. But my mom is a very big nurturer, big on family, big on family. Um, a single parent, so I was her partner, a parentified child, having to help raise all these brothers of mine. I had to be tough. And I'm also just my regular, with my physique, like this big tall girl. So a lot of for me growing up, I'm probably just jumping, so please forgive me. For me growing up, it was like a lot of, I had to be the tough. I had to be, the big tough broad. I had to be, that strong black girl to the strong black woman. But that's my mom. So my mom, she's smart, she's talented. My mom is very dark skinned, short. So I think she faced a lot of colorism. She faced a lot of colorism from Black Americans when she came here, from of course white people as well. She was one of the first when she was the first one of the first Black students to integrate into Lafayette High School in Coney Island. She was the first of the Black students. She was telling me the story about. It's so crazy to have to hear it, like, because that was like in the '70s, the late '70s. Um, she had to go to school with she had to go to school with the National Guards, ride on the train with them. The kids would call her names or call her niggas, stuff like that. I was raised primarily by my mom. Yeah, I was raised totally by my mom, single mom. Um, but my mom, even though she was she is still super talented. If you ever see her like draw or she braids hair, like my mom is like super talented, but not really ever believing in her own talent. You know what I'm saying? Like never really believing in her gifts. You know, my mother even maybe last year was one of the last times I heard you just think I'm y'all just or you just think I'm or people just think I'm like the stupid black babe, or I'm just this stupid or mean or I'm just stupid black. Like she will still say that, say those things. And as I got older and I realized how much, with all this education and with colorism, like all these different conversations coming out about it. Because even for me, growing up around the 99 2000, we didn't know, I didn't know there was a such thing. It was like, oh, just a light skin, dark skin, but I didn't know there was a term, the colorism part for me. So like as I got older and realized how much colorism has played a role in her self-esteem, one of the things I really try to do now is just to, going back to that parenting my child, just to let her know how beautiful she is. When we post stuff on Facebook, I'm like, I'm with this beautiful lady right here, my mama, or like, look how pretty you look, or, anything. I always try to you got beautiful skin, because she does. She got beautiful skin, you know, um, just this beautiful girl. But yeah, colorism absolutely played a part. I think colorism, I think abuse, I think the, what is it called, ethno, whatever, but just her not being Black American, being able to fit in with the Black kids, the Black American kids, feeling the separation of the culture, not feeling good enough. One of the things that she did when, and I guess this was real dramatic, was that growing up, she always tried to make Black American food. Actually, she's great at making Black American foods, like Southern Black American foods. Because as she got older, she integrated more with Black Americans than Caribbean Americans or Caribbean, background. Um, but one thing she said as we were growing up, she said, I never want to make Caribbean food. Like, I don't ever want to make Caribbean food. Like, she, I guess, so traumatized with her growing up and the abuse she dealt with and just what she relate to it. Now, do she go and buy some? Yeah. Do she judge it when she buy it? Like, oh, it's too bit spicy enough. Yeah. But one of the things that she, I guess that's part of her own trauma, is just the cooking. I connected to the culture. With me, I felt like I wasn't good enough than the the girls in the videos, or so I have a set of cousins on my dad's side that I grew up with, and they're light skinned. My dad is light skinned, so they're light skinned. My father, as far as I know, never, two things my father didn't ever do that I have to say, to get this compliment, is that he hasn't ever made an issue about my weight, and he hasn't ever made an issue about my complexion. Like, it's so crazy, and I know this is going on a little tangent, but I guess now he from his flowers, is that when he was around, I felt wanted by him. I felt comfortable, like wanted by him. We like never any issues, never any criticism, physically, like I just knew, like, with that part, that he loved me the way I was. You know what I'm saying? He loved me for who I was. So, but my father, we're gonna be honest, but he wasn't around, growing up, because he's a workaholic, and there's like those little rumors about Jamaicans that they work and they got 3 or 4 or 5 and 10 jobs, allegedly. And so, so my dad did a lot of working and of course dealing with his own traumas and stuff. So, but his family stepped in. My aunt, who helped raise me, or helped take care of me, my aunt, his nieces, they stepped in, and they were, I guess, involved and consistent, but they were light skinned, tall, thick, or just met certain criterias. And so I always felt that being around them, and then I'm not even that I'm just tall, but I'm tall and I'm not, like curvy like that. I'm just all legs and a cute smile. And so so growing up, I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like ignored. I did feel, I guess, with colorism, one of the things to be honest, that I guess I felt safe was that I felt that my complexion was safe. I wasn't, like, I would hear men, and it's sad to seek the validation from men, But I would hear men or people say, like, I can't date anybody darker than you. You know what I'm saying? You just made it. Like, like almost like I'm like you doing me a favor. Actually, it was my light skinned cousin's boyfriend who said that. And he wasn't doing me no favor. But no, I won't say anything about the light skinned people. I had no problems with the light skinned people. So those are some of the things that how colorism play a part. I just felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt if I was next to um, a non-invasive black girl, with the such a curly hair, or especially my cousin. I have a cousin who's like a Jessica Rabbit. So being with her, and of course, just the light skin, I just assumed that, and she got a lot of attention because she was pretty and she has the body, that I would just be ignored. I wouldn't be, unless someone had a conversation with me. Um, so that's how I felt like colorism played a role. If I have to say, probably both of the parents was emotional abuse and neglect. If I'm looking back at it now, just not being there, not asking, how you feeling, or what you think about that, or those type of things. Putting me in this place where I have to be the co-parent. That was one thing. Of course, the beatings and some corporal punishment standing in the corner. My father, because he wasn't consistent, like I said, visible. He was consistent, but not physical, but disciplining. Like my father, for me growing up, he was like Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like both of them are, both my mom and dad. But growing up, because I didn't see him consistently, when I did see him, he was like Superman. So all he gotta do is just say something real loud or nudge me in the head. I think one time he nudged me in the head, and I think I started crying. I was like, "That's the end of that." But that wasn't any like physical abuse. That was a nudge. That wasn't a real For my mom, yeah, just the beating, getting the beatings. But really, the beating part, I don't even see that as like, because I would usually get the beatings for my brothers. Like I would get the punishment, for them. I would take it for them. So, but that wasn't because I rather. This is sad. My mom, she's undiagnosed ADHD. She don't want to hear it, and all of us have different manifestations of ADHD. So if y'all hear me rambling, that's my ADHD. But I was officially diagnosed. So, but I'd rather get a beating any day than hear my mother go on and on and on and on talk. I'd rather get a beating any day. Soon as she start talking, and it's sad, like about her past and how hard she worked, and just oh my god, I'm like, girl, where is the switch? Where is the belt? Just let's get it over with. You said what you had to say. Um, there was a time that I was sexually abused. One time by one of my mother's partners, and me telling, I don't feel that I was protected by my mother at that time. I don't feel that she protected me even when I went to her and told her later on. I don't I didn't feel that. It was almost like she didn't believe me or dismissed me or became angry with me afterwards. Not even afterwards, but like there was like this, it was a distance I felt even as a little kid that I can remember. So even talking about it now, like I can still feel like a rise of emotions from that because I didn't feel protected or even, yeah, like it was totally like I'm just making that up. And so, yeah, that I would say emotional neglect, you know, and even to a point, I would say a little. I'm not gonna say a little bit and minimize it. I would say some psychological abuse, a lot of gaslighting. My mom knows that she's beautiful, but as a parent, and as a parent, and also as just an adult, when I interact, is now I want to reflect as much of my culture and my naturalness, and always make sure that I acknowledge that beauty in other men, women, whoever I see. And also, if I ever meet someone that I am going to consider bringing into my own inner circles, whether I'm dating somebody or becoming friends, as if they say a colorist remark, I take the time out to check them. But I really gauge if I'm going to bring them further because of that. One of the things I do is like ensuring that my daughter is aware of how people women, especially, but people of all complexions, because she's on that cusp. But just make sure that she knows that women of all colors are beautiful. Women like her grandmother is beautiful. I make sure now with all these Barbies and different dolls that are coming out, I make sure she gets all different textures, hair, complexions, everything with that. I make sure that she sees books, she sees a representation now, because even one of the things she used to get mad about is that when she would play with her little games and she would make her little avatars, and I'm like, why she gotta be white, Mom? It's like, why? Because I like it. And then I had to stop, and I'm like, okay. But I just make sure that you you mix some that in there as well. And so then she started doing that. She's like, oh, look at her. Do you like her hair? And do you like this? Or she made a drawing on the phone. It was so pretty, and I screenshot it because I'm gonna take it to Walgreens. And it's this dark-skinned lady with green hair and this like orange background. It was so pretty, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna make that into a picture. And even when she's doing like her own little drawings, and even other little girls, my business partners, her little girl, I try to just make sure I instill that in the girls, in I got a bunch of nephews. If I see like the teenager ones, they're gonna, you know, but the younger ones, I make sure to have the conversation and make sure that there's a lot of representation around, a lot for them. So in the 99, 2000, I went to college. I went to college when we was backing it up. So I went to Bloomfield College in Bloomfield, New Jersey, which is like 2 miles outside of Newark, New Jersey. It was the only school that I did a tour of. Mind blown when I went there. Like mind blown when I went there. I shared a room, like a quad, I guess. Not a quad, because that's the quad is when we're outside, right? And so I shared a room, a triple, with 2 other Latin girls from, And when I come from Newark, everybody Puerto Rican. Like, this Puerto Rican store, everybody Puerto Rican. And I remember I had one guy I was dating in high school, and he's like, no, everyone's not Puerto Rican, they're Dominican. And I'm like, isn't it my best friend who's like super political? And she was like, yeah, that's why we call it the bodega. And girl, I remember you saying the bodega. We said the corner store or the Puerto Rican store, but okay. So that was one of the most enlightening things for me, was to go to college right down the street from my house and just learn about the different ethnicities, to learn about the different cultures, Initially, I was told to, because all these rules and people were telling me what to do, because I didn't trust my voice. I didn't trust, because to me, the neglect, you don't realize you have a voice, So everybody was telling me what to do. My mother, you should go into physical therapy. I could not do well in math, in science. And then somebody's like, you should be a teacher. And then other people, you should do a social work. And in New Jersey, they're called DYFS, Division of, DYFS work, Youth and Family Services. And I'm like, who wants to do DYFS? We all know they take your kids away, and that's not what I want to do. I didn't know what I really wanted to do, but one of the things I knew I wanted to do, I was really good at, was public speaking to people. So later on in college, I wanted to be a counselor, because I guess just my personality, people always gravitated towards me. People in my classmates, I don't know if they call it EOF here, but we went to EOF because, my background, affirmative action, which, thank you, affirmative action. Went to EOF, and a few students got put out. And so we set up this meeting with the head of the EOF department to figure out why they putting them out. Like, it was this whole big, we need to have a discussion. Like, who the heck? I need to be protecting my grant, but I'm gonna know, why they got put out. So we set up this meeting, and we went to talk to them, and we just, it was like this just big, like, I really can't, but it was a lot of, now that I'm looking back on it, a lot of strong leadership skills. And then older upperclassmen would come to me and like, Christine, you should do this. You should do that. Like, you're really good. People listen to you. People like you. And I just was like, whatever, and I'm going to be something from my English here. Now that I know, like, yeah, whatever, like I knew I could do it, but did I really want to do it? Or was anyone pushing me to do it, So it was just like a lot of, like I said, a very strong leadership skills. And so I wanted to be, so then eventually later on, one of the things I said, because people love to come and talk to me about their problems, they just, I'm at the bus stop, somebody just walk up and just start talking to me, I'm at school, people just start talking to me out the clear blue. So I said, I should be a counselor. But then that would have meant me having to transfer schools. And my loyalty to the school was stronger than me even knowing what I was going to do with my career. So instead of going into counseling, I went into communications and broadcast journalism. And at that time, this Black woman came on campus. She was a graduate of Howard. She worked in like theater and also had connections with NBC. We just started our first, way back in the day, internet radio show. So I was the supervisor of the station at the time because she loved me. And what else happened? I was her assistant. So I was her assistant. That was my job. And just a lot of broadcast journalism. That's what it was. I was really good at broadcast journalism. I was really good. I was offered like an internship at NBC to help with the production. I knew in my heart that was something I wanted to do. I didn't know where and how to do it. I didn't know what like prepare me for that. But I knew that that competitive part was not something I wanted to do. I knew I would be good at it, just like I'd be good at being a TA and all this other leadership stuff. But I wasn't motivated. I didn't know, what to do with it. But I just went with communications broadcast journal because I love to talk. I love people. So I just went with that and said, let's see where that's going to lead you to. My professional title today is licensed clinical social worker. Yep, licensed clinical social worker, licensed clinical therapist. Yep, any of that stuff. Yep, that is my title. Oh, one of my best things I love seeing them is being able to hear their voice, being able to move off of what they feel is right for them and feeling confident in that. When they get into that and then, no, this is what I want to do. No, that don't feel right. And they come back and they tell me that's how they moved, or that is one of the most fulfilling things I could see with with my clients. I have one client, he wrote a review on Google about me, and I didn't even know he did that. And he was like, I just been coming to see Christine for a couple of months, and she gave me the confidence. So proud of him. He texted me, and he was like, "Oh my God, I got the job, and I just want to let you know, thank you so much." It was like 6 in the morning. He should have known I wasn't up. And so I saw it late about 9:30, and say, I was like, "No, it wasn't me. That was you. Thank you. I'm so honored for you allowing me as part of your journey. You did the work. I just helped you I just helped you on the steps. You did it though. So that's the thing, like knowing that they can do it, feel confident in yourself, being able to hear your voice because we have these roles that are placed on us. You know what I'm saying? These roles, and when do we hear our voice? And that's always been a struggle when I finally was able to hear my voice. No, this is what I want, and stand strong in that. Stand strong in my hearing me. So that's one of the most fulfilling things I think about this. One of the biggest advices I would say is to trust your own voice. Trust what you hear. And the voice that doubts you, question if that's your voice or not. Question if that you. Is that me? Is that me speaking to me? Or is that someone who told me, no, you're not good enough? No, you can't do that. Question the doubts, but hear your voice. Hear yourself. Recognize if it's you. So, yeah, that's one of the biggest advice I give to anyone, to my clients, and even myself. Even myself to this very day, when I have something that's really bothering me, or I begin to question, Christine, is that you? Is that you? Or is that if that's someone else? Is that your mom questioning your judgment? Is that you receiving judgment from other people? And if it is, then why is that affecting you so much? Then it goes back to, what do you want to do? This is I'm comfortable in this decision. This is what I want to do. I'm trusting my voice.